Welcome back. I'm live on the campus of Utah Valley University, where the search continues by law enforcement for that shooter, the one who shot and killed Charlie Kirk, a political activist, a conservative political activist. Yesterday, he was here for a reason that most people were excited about who came to this event. On Wednesday, he was speaking to a crowd of about 3,000 people here when a single shot rang out. We're told the shooter was on top of a roof, just about 200 yards from where Kirk was speaking.
Who is the real assassin of Charlie Kirk? And that has been something that's plaguing the nation. The Utah governor, as well as the sheriff, the FBI, they all believe that Tyler Robinson is the guy. That's their main guy. He crawled up on top of that building, and he's the one that pulled the trigger. They got a gun. They got everything planted. They got all these things going on, and yet now the conspiracy theories are just out there everywhere, including myself. I've looked at some of the things that other people have shared, and it has just driven me nuts to go back and really examine from every angle I could find video footage to see what are we missing, what is there, where is the smoking gun, why is Charlie Kirk, his life been lost, and yet it's being blamed on this guy Tyler Robinson, who's claiming his innocence. From what I understood thus far, but I'm sure they'll, somehow or another, they're gonna make him confess to something, even if he didn't do it.
He supposedly was on campus over the previous 2 weeks, and they caught him on the roof 2 or 3 times, and a professor even approached him and confronted him. Nothing ever happened.
The assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk has left students with many questions. And those questions have extended to how the rooftops were vulnerable. Those students have long known how to access them.
It's a walkway that students can go up there and kind of just chill up there, but then the railing does cut off, but the roof continues, so you can just hop the railing and continue on the roof.
This Charlie Kirk thing is starting to sound a little bit, there's so many things that don't pass my smell test. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. That was a term coined by the CIA. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I just look at the facts and go, that doesn't make any sense, man. Doesn't make any sense. You got a guy that, a 22-year-old kid, I don't see in any of the videos, I see him jumping off the roof after the supposed shot. I see him doing that. But I don't see a weapon.
God bless technology. A couple of eyewitnesses recorded someone being on the roof before the shootings happened.
Get right up.
Yeah. You think he'd already be in place?
You would think that. So there's somebody on the roof right there? Just saying? He just ran from over, where's my finger? Well, from over there, ran in, and now he's right there. Just saying.
And in the second video I'm about to show you, the internet has found someone being on the roof the second everyone started running away. He ran away with them. Now, it's not fully confirmed that there was a sniper on top or not, but it is highly believed that the person was on the rooftop and took the shot from there. There's a small chance that he was amongst the, people around. He shot and he quickly started, running away with everyone who were running away.
And then they found the weapon and he said he had broken it apart. I don't see a weapon. And then they found the weapon literally, I think, a quarter mile away in the woods, and it was reassembled. So when he was running from the area, he stopped to reassemble it and leave it out for the people that were going to chase him. That's what you and I are supposed to believe. Listen to this. Did you guys know that the FBI director of that office in Utah had been relieved, I think 3 weeks before? He had been relieved. Does that make you go,
I support Charlie, freedom of speech, how he believed, the way he chose to believe was up to him. We do know, though, that one thing that has really come up later is some of his statements as he began with one of the most not only MAGA movements in the United States for younger Americans on college campuses, but also he was very pro-Israel until he began to question things, even with Megyn Kelly. He recently said, why are we being called anti-Semitic just because we're questioning and talking about the government of Israel? This really does give evidence of why I think Charlie was targeted, because with Turning Point USA, Charlie definitely was getting braver and braver to call out. He was not against the Jewish people. He was not against Israel, but he did call out the sins. He called out the sins of the Israeli government and what they were doing.
Decoupling to do, because Jewish donors have been the #1 funding mechanism of radical, open border, neoliberal, quasi-Marxist policies, cultural institutions, and nonprofits. This is a beast created by secular Jews. And now it's coming for Jews, and they're like, what on earth happened? And it's not just the colleges. It's the nonprofits, it's the movies, it's Hollywood, it's all of it. It's like time for you guys to wake up and say no more, draw a line in the sand. I don't care if you hate me.
Why don't you update them, Megyn?
Well, this is the first big scandal, I'd say, of the Trump administration that's on Team Rational. It's not a fake media scandal like the left tries to create for President Trump every other day. It's one of the right's own making, and it's not going well. And it has to do with Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah. Let me just ask you, make some noise if you care about the Jeffrey Epstein scandal.
Raise your hand if it matters a lot to you. Raise your hand. So every hand of 7,000 people.
Everybody cares.
A lot. I said a lot. Every hand. I'm open to it. If that's true, why don't you just tell us the prisoners' names who are on the same cell block as Jeffrey Epstein?
There's a lot.
No, that's BS. I'm sorry. The President of the United States figured out whether we have HIPAA for federal prisoners. Tell us who the other prisoners were if no one had access to it, because all of a sudden if we find out some of these prisoners had suspicious intel ties.
It's funny because you look back at the past, Dan and Cash talked about Epstein all the time when they were in my business.
So that's the point, is that hasn't been a shtick of mine.
Mine either. I've talked about it when it's bubbled up.
Right?
Same. But I am a lawyer by training, and I can smell BS when it's being shoveled to me. And it's very obvious to me right now that we've got spinners trying to mess with us in Washington. And one of the main reasons that we voted Trump in was because we wanted real answers on real stories, and we didn't want to be BS'd anymore with a bunch of nonsense from our government that treated us like a bunch of stooges.
What is the 1, 2, 3 sequencing? Press conference, you would get rid of Bondi. What else to get us back on track towards transparency? I think the DOJ should immediately move to unseal all the Epstein documents in the Southern District of New York.
Yeah. Everything.
And
everything except sexual assault material.
I think every file should be released to the public the same way as the JFK files. Let the American people decide. Do you think there's any intel community involvement in this?
I wouldn't be surprised one bit. I am convinced, based on my own sources and my own reporting on this story, he wasn't one of ours.
So he was an American, which leads basically 3 options: MI6, Saudi, or Mossad.
Yep.
Which one would you choose?
I guess Mossad, given his connection to Ghislaine Maxwell.
So what does that mean?
Well, I mean, it's possible that that's the reason everything's getting buried, that there is some treasure trove, and it's getting buried because...
How many people here believe that? Raise your hand.
That was kind of a fishy answer.
And Megyn, remember, Alexander Acosta in 2007, he said he was told to treat Epstein carefully because he was an intel asset. That was one of Trump's cabinet secretaries who was literally a U.S. attorney 3 hours from here in Florida. He said that himself. No, but he'll tell the truth and we will lose. We will be like, if Bongino can't go and fight and solve this thing, then like, I mean, what are we doing here?
I know.
Right? If Dan Bongino, who's like one of the greatest patriots we have, cannot go and reform the FBI with Kash Patel after we win a popular vote majority,
right?
Then I will never give up, but I know for millions of people that will be met with just a sigh of cynicism.
Looking at this from an American perspective, what else would you say things could have been handled differently? Maybe on the PR front, maybe also just on a conduct front. Where would you say, as an outsider, things that could have been handled better, more efficiently, or with more precision? Ben Shapiro, author of Lions and Scavengers. We're going to get to that in a second. I have one or two other questions on Israel. I think it's very important for our audience to hear this, though, because there is an incessant campaign. And one thing a friend sent to me, interestingly, which is, okay, Charlie, we've pushed back against the media on COVID, on lockdowns, on Ukraine, on the border, so like maybe we should also ask a question: is the media totally presenting the truth when it comes to Israel? Just a question, that maybe we shouldn't believe everything the media says, because I know I've been conditioned to ask a lot more critical questions over the last couple of years.
I want you to address one thing, and it's just the absurdity of it. Some of the internet rumors that somehow Israel is behind the Charlie Kirk murder, and I don't believe it for 1 second, but I want you to make a statement. It's so absurd.
That's insane. That's insane. Israel also changes the orbit of the moon. Israel pushes the sun. I mean, the whole thing it's not only insane, I think it's so absurd, so stupid, and so ridiculous. You can't believe that people are saying that.
Last time we talked about him, literally like 20, 30 minutes ago, they detained this old man over here who was saying, shoot me, shoot me. He was definitely a hater, and he was just, celebrating Charlie's death. But he was the alleged shooter. He was just happy that, Charlie's no longer in this world.
They have this guy, older guy, in cuffs. They're dragging him out, and he's yelling. Just shoot me. Just shoot me. Take me out. Just shoot me. He's yelling that to everybody that can hear. And he's looking at the camera as he walks by. And when I first watched that, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, man. Because they want you to believe he's the guy. Why would they want you to believe he's the guy? And then within I think an hour of that, they arrested somebody else at the event and said he was, part of it too, blah, blah, blah. And then you see on the first guy, the older guy, statistics mean something. There's an older guy, I think his last name is Zinn. That was the first guy that was walking by yelling, kill me now, shoot me now.
Now, all you conspiracy theorists out there, I don't want you going crazy, but what are the odds that George Zinn, the patsy that was arrested at the Charlie Kirk assassination, also saw 9/11, he saw the planes fly into the buildings and called that in or reported it, and then he also called in a fake terrorist attack at the Boston Marathon bombing, and just so happened to get arrested at Charlie Kirk's event. So Tess Keyser, she responded to this tweet and she says, Grok, is a guy really involved in all three events like this post claims? And Grok fact checks it and goes, based on a review of multiple sources, George Zinn was a witness to the 9/11 attacks, and he described seeing planes hit the towers. He was also arrested in 2013 for emailing a bomb threat joke to the Salt Lake City Marathon shortly after the Boston bombing. He pled guilty to a terrorism charge and somehow magically only received probation. He was also detained and questioned as a person of interest at the Charlie Kirk assassination on September 10th, 2025, but released without charges relating to the shooting. Then Grok went on and made sure that it told you there is no credible evidence that supports claims of his involvement in 9/11's false flag, facilitating Kirk's deaths, or Mossad ties. The main suspect in Kirk's killing is now Tyler Robinson, and he is in custody. So I asked Grok to break this one down for us, and it says so, and it wouldn't give me an answer first. It said it's impossible to calculate. Well, I said use statistical probability and give me a ballpark stat on the probability of him being at all three major events. And it goes through here and it breaks it down. Then we get down here to the very bottom where it combines the probability right here. Combined probability. And it says it is equal to 0.705% or 5 times 10 to the power of 8. That translates to approximately 1 in 2 billion. Does all of that seem normal to you?
I do believe, and I don't know, I'm not there with the forensic autopsy to see what happened or if they did an autopsy, or if they didn't do an autopsy. I believe, though, that Charlie was hit from the back side of his neck, right in here somewhere is where he was hit, and the bullet come out the front side of his neck. I will spare you the details. I've examined it thoroughly. The front is an exit wound. I've dealt with this when I was younger, 7 years working with some folks I don't even want to talk about, also law enforcement. I've seen a lot of people get shot. I know what the entrance and exit wounds look like. It's totally different. The front is clearly the exit wound, and that's why he bleeds so heavily. By the way, when you are hit from a bullet, and I said this the other day, I'll say it again, there is a shock to the body. The muscles themselves will contract and react. That's why Charlie does this motion here. But if you'll notice, though, his head goes down. Typically, and it doesn't have to be, it's not a perfect science in this case here, but typically when a bullet strikes a person, the direction the bullet is traveling, especially if it's near the head, that's the way the head will go. So like if he got hit in the back of the neck, his head would go forward. If he was hit from the front, his head would go backwards. All right, it follows the trajectory of that bullet. And that's why you see him lean forward. So that is an exit wound. And I'm still not quite for sure the trajectory of this, but it appears to be that it is coming directly from behind him. It almost appears to be, I don't know if you can see this or not, it almost appears to be that maybe right there at the edge of his shirt there is the entry wound that hit him in the neck right there. Caught him in the neck there and followed through to the other side.
That whole event in Utah, let me set you guys up that don't follow this because maybe you don't know what happened. You might have seen the clip of Charlie getting tagged in the neck, falling to the floor of the tent he was in on Utah State campus, I believe. Did you know that within literally a few hours of that happening, within a few hours of that happening, and tell me where else this has happened. Put it in the chat, and I'll put some of you guys' chat comments up. Put it in the chat where else you've seen this happen, which is so uncommon to have happen. Within an hour or two, I shouldn't say an hour or two, within a few hours of that event, there was one person there starting to clean the whole place up behind the table. He was behind the table with all the stuff on the floor where Charlie had landed. He was back there cleaning things up. He was out there pulling lights down. One person. Wasn't there a person cleaning a roof off at another place and they didn't, like they cleaned it off almost right away and they said it was just protocol? It wasn't protocol. And I'm talking about, I gotta stay kind of neutral how I say what I say. And I don't want to put a lot of clips up and I don't want to get a lot of, things flagged by YouTube. But you remember what happened in Butler, and they went out there right away and sprayed the roof off that the guy was allegedly laying on. They went up on the stage and started cleaning up behind that area, taking everything down within hours of that. And there was never police tape up. There was never police there investigating. Makes no sense.